Hi everyone, and welcome to the channel. In this video, I'll be regrowing mint from a cutting. Here I have a package of mint which I purchased at Walmart. Now there's no dates on this package, so I'm not sure when these plants were harvested. Ideally, you want to take a cutting from a plant and start to propagate it immediately. That said, we can still have success with these grocery store herb packages as they will often regrow. These plants are looking pretty dried out and droopy, which is alright. It looks like I've got 3 different stems here, and I'll attempt to regrow all of them. Starting with this little stem here, all I'm going to do is cut this stem above that middle leaf node. Any sort of cut is fine, you just want a nice crisp cut across the stem. That's going to give me this little cutting here, which I will try to propagate in a shot glass. Just need to add a little bit of water and we're good. Next up, we've got one of these bigger stems here. Again, we just want to get a nice crisp cut across that stem. I'm looking to make my cutting maybe 2 inches long or so. Some people say to cut above a leaf node, some say below a leaf node. I've had success with both methods. It really doesn't matter too much. You can see I'm removing some of the leaves from this cutting. Too many leaves on your cutting is just going to be difficult for that cutting to keep itself properly hydrated and ultimately survive. So I've got about 4 or 5 leaves left up top, which is plenty, and a nice small cutting. Again, I'm using a shot glass here, and it should do just fine. So here are my 3 cuttings. I'm just going to leave them on this table where they've got access to indirect sunlight. And we're going to wait this out while they try and propagate. Here we are maybe 14 hours later after a night. These plants have already perked themselves up nicely and are looking pretty good. It's important to monitor your plants and make sure that you have them in a good environment. It's normal for your plants to droop and rejuvenate throughout the day, but you don't want them getting too dried out. We rejoined these plants on day number 11, and we've got great signs of rooting. Our miniature cutting has probably performed the best so far. Relative to its size, these roots are quite long. You can see a number of roots having emerged here. Both of our larger stems have rooted as well. You can see multiple roots coming from this stem, and our third stem here has rooted quite nicely. It's got a number of roots emerging. They're almost 1 inch long at this point and looking pretty healthy. Now's going to be a pretty good time to transplant these cuttings. We could definitely wait for the roots to extend themselves longer, but I'm going to move these into a hydroponic reservoir and give them access to nutrients. You could also transplant into soil at this time. I like to use an empty net cup to monitor where my water level is and ensure that those roots are going to have access to water. I'm going to move these cuttings into a net cup and use clay pebbles to support that plant, keep it upright, and also to block light from getting down inside to my hydroponic solution. I find it easier to care for plants that I'm growing with hydroponics as compared to soil, as it's almost impossible to under or overwater your plants. Now that our plants have roots and access to water, we can move them out of the indirect sunlight and into a more permanent home. I have mine in front of a window where they receive a lot of sunlight throughout the day, and additionally, I have my grow lights on at those shoulder periods to help supplement these plants. Here we are on day 18. Our plants are progressing nicely. I decided to take this opportunity to top one of these plants to promote more bushy growth as opposed to that main stem growing straight up. Here we are on day 24, and I think these mint plants are growing faster than any of the other herbs I've tried to regrow on this channel. You can see that these root systems are developing quite nicely. They look a nice healthy white color and just seem to be growing quite fast. We can already see the clear impact that topping had on our plant. These side branches have really started to take off, in comparison to our untreated plant, which is still growing straight upward. While checking in on these plants, I unfortunately noticed some discoloration in the leaves. There were small dots appearing all over both plants on the leaves. Checking the undersides of those leaves, I noticed that these plants did have spider mites. These small black dots that you see underneath these leaves are in fact small bugs. If you watch them close enough or long enough, they will move. There are steps you can take to kill spider mites and try to stop an infestation. Unfortunately, I've got other plants I'm more concerned about in my garden, and I'm simply going to get rid of these mint plants. It's too cold to move them outside, and they just are posing a risk to my larger garden. From this point, there's not much else to do other than wait, monitor your plant, and fill up your reservoir as needed. This is very similar to all the other herbs we've regrown on this channel, and there's links to those videos on your screen now. Thanks a lot for watching, good luck with your own mint plant, and as always, happy harvesting!